Hi, everyone. Good morning from Central California. I'm Ariana Newcomer, and this is Wisdom Wednesdays. Today is about shadow and spiritual bypassing. I read a wonderful post by a Facebook friend the other day, and she talked about why we do this shadow work. And it truly is so important that we keep doing our own inner work and we keep looking inside with love and honoring those parts of us that we don't like. We tend to stuff those parts down and shut them away and give them no voice, and because we're ashamed of our anger, we might be ashamed of being judgmental or being arrogant, and yet those are parts of us. When we shut them off and shut them away, they actually can unconsciously run us. And when we bring them into our awareness and consciousness with love, we can actually work with them in ways to bring ourselves more into wholeness and more into full alignment. So this is the, let me pull this up here. This is what Jane Meyer posted the other day. She's in Peru, obviously doing spiritual work down there. She said, remembering today that the reason I and so many of us do all of the hard, shadowy work of finding the root of darkness is because the outcome is an upgrade and integration and massive expansion of life inside this human body. More space for love, for creativity, for receiving, for pleasure and presence, for sensation, for playfulness, for laughter. And when we make space in our human bodies for all of this, we make space for God, or whatever word you use for the greater than us, spirit, inside the cells of our being. We make space for the evolution of our DNA, for the creation to flow through us. We remember ourselves as divine, as whole and holy and sovereign. And so this is truly blessed work. And in my training as a Dove Oracle priestess, we are taught when we make an altar to the light and we make an altar to the dark. So there's always an altar to the dark goddess, to the shadow aspects, because again, it's really important to honor those instead of just hiding them away. And when we hide them away, we're also subject to something called spiritual bypass, which is, I'm going to read you a definition, the use of spiritual beliefs to avoid dealing with painful feelings, unresolved wounds, and developmental needs. And this is what I believe leads to things like guru abuse or, pastors sexually abusing their parishioners, priests sexually abusing children, is that shadow has been denied, stuffed down, and they have refused to look at it and continue to do their own inner work. And so when we illuminate these aspects, again, it's really a very rich experience. And we do this work in the Wise Women Immersion. And there is still time for you to join us in the group. Module 1 is just completed. We have this next week off, so it's a perfect time to catch up and join us in doing this really rich and powerful work of integrating shadow, coming home to self in these beautiful ways, reclaiming our voices and claiming our earned wisdom. So here's another quote about spiritual bypassing. This is Robert Augustus Masters. What spiritual bypassing would have us rise above is Hayadora, is precisely what we need to enter and enter deeply with as little self-numbing as possible. To this end, it is crucial that we see through whatever practices we have, spiritual or otherwise, that tranquilize rather than illuminate and awaken us. So if you want to read more, he has forget if it's an article or book, Spiritual Bypassing When Spirituality Disconnects Us from What Really Matters. And that's the nut of it. A lot of New Age spiritual teaching is all about looking to the light and raising our frequency and never having a negative thought and avoiding all the low frequencies and the negative emotions and the people that are low frequency, etc. And that's really, it's a misunderstanding That's another conversation about frequencies, which I have done and will do again. We need to harmonize our frequencies, not just raise. And when we just do that, looking up, always looking to the light, then we are not honoring the dark. Again, it's a way of submerging the dark and not looking at it. When we open up to looking at it and treating it with love and honoring the shadow aspects, then they can actually be used for the greater good and to help us. Anger is not always a bad thing. Anger is sometimes a very, very motivating emotion. And we are human beings. We have emotions. That's what we do. And this constant looking to the light also has us, it contributes, I believe, to our disconnect from Mother Earth, from nature, because nature, the earth is down. Underneath the earth, it's dark. We don't tend to think about what's under there, but those extensive root systems of trees and the mycelial networks and all the microbes in the soil and all the things that are going on down there, we tend to just, it's down, it's dark, I'm going to ignore it because I'm supposed to look at the light. And then we get this disconnect. What we are really called to be doing is to be human and divine at the same time. And being human means being also honoring the dark. And dark is where seeds germinate. Dark is where we sleep and rest. Dark is where our bodies regenerate. Dark is a place of high creativity, actually. So let's reclaim the dark and let's honor our shadow and do our shadow work with love and respect for all these aspects of being human. And the one other thing that I want to talk about this morning is that it's really important in this time of the rise of the divine feminine, the reclaiming of the divine feminine, bringing her back to her rightful place as sacred, to honor, to incorporate our understanding and knowledge of the divine feminine in all aspects of life. It's very important to also reclaim the dark goddess, not just the love and light goddess, but the fierce goddess. The goddesses like Kali, who is destroying in service of creation. Sometimes something has to be torn down, taken away, in order to make room for the new to come in and to grow. So there are many other dark goddesses, Ereshkigal, Caridwen, all of the cultures have these goddesses, and it's really valuable for us to reclaim that aspect of the divine feminine, because that is also power. That's also our power. But to do this consciously, so that it's not the dark, the sort of myth of the wicked stepmother or the wicked witch, or that's not what I'm talking about. That's a distortion of the dark goddess. And the dark goddess that we need to reclaim is the one who is underneath, in the dark, and has all those aspects of being able to help us shed what we no longer need and come into a place where the new can be birthed. Babies grow in the dark too. So let's reclaim the dark goddess. Let's do our shadow work. And again, I invite you to join us in the Wise Women Immersion, where we do this wonderful work in a circle of supportive women. And it is a very, very rich and powerful and life-changing journey. So please contact me. I'll put the information in the comments where you can book a time to talk with me about the Wise Women Immersion. And I'll see you next time.